Hey coin collectors, it's DC on the Big D with the 1978 and the 1979 Kennedy half dollars. There are some valuable ones in these series, and there are some really good looking ones that aren't so valuable. And we're going to talk about those. We're also going to talk about two other things that happened in 1978 and 1979. And the first is that 1978 was the last year of the Eisenhower dollar. And this is the 1978 proof Eisenhower, which you almost never see around, the proof Eisenhower. So that's just a beauty there. This one came from some damaged packaging, but generally you don't want to be touching or holding the proof coins. So unless you get one that's kind of messed up, you probably ought to leave it in the wrapper. And then in 1979, came out with another dollar coin, the Susan B. Anthony dollar coins, the predecessor to the Sacagawea dollars. So let's start with these halves. We have a Philadelphia half here, and you can tell because you look under President John F. Kennedy's neck and there's no letter there, that means it's a Philadelphia coin. If you see a D there like this, it means it's a Denver coin. And if you see an S like this, it means it's a San Francisco. And if you look down here to the 79s, same thing. No letter, Philadelphia. D, as in this one right here, that's a Denver, and it's hard to tell that's a D. And then this one here is a 1979 proof coin from the San Francisco Mint, and you can see the S there. Now, there are two different kind of S's. In 1979, they had what they call the clear S, and that's much more valuable than the filled S or the block S. So let's talk about how many they made, where they made them, and what the values are. We'll start with the Philadelphia one right here. Philadelphia in 1978, the Mint made 14,350,000 Kennedy half dollars. This is one of the lowest mintage years ever for the Kennedy half. You can see this one's pretty scratched up. If we magnify it up, you see a little marker there, and that's for Gilroy Roberts, the engraver of this coin. And then on the back, the Kennedy halves have initials also, and that's right here in FG for Frank Gasparo. If we look at the back of this coin, we see it says United States of America, half dollar, e pluribus unum. In 78, all of the half dollars were clad. 75% copper, 25% nickel on the front and back, and then in the middle of these coins, the copper sandwich, 100% copper down the middle. If you get one of these at a Mint State 65, it's worth about $22. And they didn't make very many good ones, but if you get a really good one, get it graded, because the highest they've ever graded is the Mint State 67 Plus. They've graded 3 of those at PCGS, and those are worth $5,250. They made these at the Denver Mint also, and again, that's going to be this D here. In the 70s, Ds are going to just look awful. Many filled Ds, hard to see them. Liberty around the top, Kennedy facing left in God, and under his chin, we trust down here. In 1978, they made 13,765,000, so just about a $500,000 less at Denver than Philadelphia. At a Mint State 65, these are worth $22. At a Mint State 67 Plus, again, the highest they've ever graded, $3,750. So if you get any 1978 coins that are in great shape, they're going to be worth a lot of money, except for this one. This is the proof coin, and you can see this is a deep cameo proof and just a beautiful Kennedy half dollar. We tip it up to the edge, and no silver coins in 1978. And then you get to the back of this, and again, just spectacular detail. The problem with the 1978 San Francisco Mint Kennedy halves, they made 3 million of these, and they're all in great shape. If you get the best possible one you can get, it goes for about $45. In 1979, they didn't change anything. Same old coins. Well, they changed the number here from an 8 to a 9, but that's really all they changed. But the production went way up. In 1979 at Philadelphia, they made 68 million Kennedy halves versus the 14 million from 1978. Again, same coin. A Mint State 65 will go for $20. A Mint State 68, the best one they've ever found, of 78 or 79 coins will go for $4,100. At the Denver Mint, they made about the same amount, $15.8 million in 1979 and $13.7 million in 1978. So Mint State 65, $17. Mint State 67 plus from Denver, $3,500. They've only graded one 67 plus ever from the Denver 1979s. And as promised, the 1979 San Francisco Mint coin, and you can see this one here has a block S where the S is filled in. If you get a filled in S, they made 3.6 million of these. A proof 70 is worth $40. So again, best proof half you can get in 1979, $40. However, there is one that is called a clear S. And the clear S is just a different mint stamp that they put on it, and that's worth $120 for the best one. What's the difference between a clear S and a filled S? Well, I'm going to bring the camera back a little bit and show you. This is from the PCGS website, and that's a filled S, like a seriously filled block S for the 79. And here is a clear S where you can actually read the S. So these clear S's where you can read the S are much more valuable than this kind of misshapen figure 8. And unfortunately, when we look at ours, look at it one more time, we see that we have the misshapen one. And so this one, the max value this could be, would be $40. And they've already graded 2,314 proof 70s. So don't send your 79 filled S in for grading unless you want to spend more for the grading than the coin is worth. From 1971 to 1978, they made Eisenhower dollars. On the front of the Eisenhower dollar, it's Eisenhower facing left. On the back, it's an eagle landing on the moon. And so huge that nobody could use them or wanted to use them. You didn't want to put them in your pocket. Look at that. In weight, the Eisenhower dollar weighs about 1.5 times as much as the Kennedy half, and it's way bigger. So you weren't going to put a bunch of these in your pocket. And the only place they really used a lot of them was Las Vegas for the slot machines. So they took the Eisenhower and said, we got to make it smaller, we got to make it easier to use. And they came out with the Susan B. Anthony dollars. And this is the Susan B. right here. It's small, much smaller than the half, much more like a quarter. And some people didn't like them because they were close in size to quarters and their edges felt like quarters. The Susan B., unfortunately, had the same reverse as the Eisenhower dollar also. So they didn't even change the reverse. They just made it smaller, more awkward, if you can do that, and put the same reverse on that was on the Eisenhower dollar. And people were not excited about that as collectors. They made these in 1979, 1980, and 1981. And then they didn't make them again until the Susan B's from 1999. Okay, so we got the 79s and we got the 78s. And there's plenty of them out there. You can often get these just by going to your bank teller, and often they'll save them for you, and you can just go through them and get the years that you need of the Kennedy halves. All right, that's all we have today from the Big D Coin Channel. We'd love to have you subscribe to Big D and leave any comments you have in the comment section.